Alrighty, fit folk, in today's video we're talking about 5 steps to lose weight in 2018. And what we're going to do differently in today's video is I'm going to give you some scientifically driven priorities to get your ducks in a row so that you don't waste time trying to lose weight by things that we know aren't that effective. For example, do not go and jump on the cardio machine on the 1st of January. It's a cliche and the science tells us that it's really not your first priority. I'm going to give you 5 priorities. We'll talk about what matters, why they're important, and then how to make it work. And we're going to build up this pyramid. It'll take us about 5 minutes, but it could really be a wonderful way to help you think about this problem correctly. Alrighty, let's talk about what matters most, because having good priorities can save you days, weeks, months, and even years when it comes to losing weight. I'm going to give you 5 priorities and we're just going to define them first. So we'll start with the first priority, which is energy. Energy, the number of calories, so the units of energy in the food you eat that you put in your mouth, is your first priority for weight loss. You don't need to track calories, but controlling your calorie intake is your first priority. We can talk about it in terms of daily, weekly, monthly, or even annual calorie intake. Strength, second priority, progressive overload when it comes to resistance training. So this is just the process of lifting progressively heavier things to get strong. Macros, these are protein, fat, carbohydrate, fiber, and alcohol. So these are the macronutrients, the large blocks of nutrient that contain the most energy. Then you also have micronutrients, but we're talking about your macros. Cardio, that's the 4th priority. This is just the process of doing some exercise that gets you breathing. So the classics are kind of running, swimming, cycling. You can also have some intervals in there. And lastly, food quality. So I'm talking about the micronutrient quality of the foods that you eat. So eating really good, healthy food with lots of useful micronutrients coming from, our vegetables, our high protein foods, fats, whatever. But we're talking about food quality here. So there are your 5 priorities, and really the most important one is energy. All right, second up, we're going to talk about why these priorities are important. And I think this is where people really mess up weight loss. They think that they need to do cardio to lose weight, or they need to eat clean, or they have to go low carb or low fat. And these are not the first priority, and they're just not essential for weight loss. Like, none of those things need to happen for you to lose weight. So I want to break down these things and talk about why they're actually important, because I don't view all of these things as weight loss tools. They're priorities for very different things. So, for example, food quality. All the longest lived societies on Earth eat a massive variety of seasonal and local vegetables. So if your first priority in life is longevity, then you should eat lots and lots of colorful vegetables, because we know that the micronutrients with those are really protective for health and they're really wonderful for living a long time. So food quality is very, very important for longevity and general health. Next up, we've got cardio. You don't need to do cardio to lose weight, and in fact, cardio is phenomenally ineffective for losing weight. We know that from the studies. But the first hour of cardio that you do each week is incredible for your health and fitness. It's like a wonder drug. It's good for mental health. It's good for your heart and lungs. It can ward off heart problems unbelievably. So that first hour of cardio is a phenomenal fitness tool. Next up, we've got macros. We know from the literature that there is no real metabolic advantage between low carb and low fat diets. So basically, if they're controlled, they're equally effective. You could argue that a lower carb approach is a little bit better for hunger control. But generally, macros are more about, having good macros is about hormonal health. Having some fat in there is about absorbing macronutrients, and having enough protein is about the building blocks for your muscle and protecting your muscle mass. So we want to get half-decent macros, particularly the protein intake, to protect muscle mass and to look after our hormonal health. Then we've got strength training. Strength training, when you're dieting, when you're losing weight, you're automatically got to be in an energy deficit. So you're automatically putting your metabolic rate and your muscle mass under a bit of risk of loss. And strength training is the most protective thing we have to do when we're dieting down to protect our muscle mass and to protect our basal metabolic rate. So strength training is just an incredibly good idea when you're losing weight. Finally, energy. The reason that energy, the number of calories that I talk about this, is simply, it's the single most important thing for weight loss. So for instance, if I'm working with a woman And I know that roughly we work out that she's, she's using 15,000 calories a week. And I find an elegant way to get her to eat 12,000 calories a week. It's over. Like, we win. If we can do that consistently, we win the weight loss battle. It doesn't matter if she's eating junk food, doing no cardio, has dodgy macros, and forgot to strength train. She's still losing weight. We win. All right? So this is the thing about priorities. And people mess this up all the time. They think, well, I've got to eat clean food. No, you don't. I've got to do my cardio. No, you don't. I have to have these perfect macros or low carb. You really don't. And even strength training, although I think it's an absolutely almost essential thing to do, you don't actually need to do it to lose weight. The only thing you need to get in order to lose weight is your calories. And that is essentially what the literature tells us. And that is the importance of having proper priorities, because you know what? If we mess up all these things, but we still got the weekly calories right, we won at the end of the week. Like, it doesn't matter if we had a horrible week in terms of getting our other priorities in order. We got our weekly calories right, we won. Alrighty, let's talk about how to make this work for you. This is our 5 steps to lose weight in 2018. First up, we're gonna find a way to control our weekly calories. So I don't really care if you use kind of low carb or low fat, or if you use some kind of timing protocol like intermittent fasting, or if you count your nutrients like your calories or your macros. But you need to find some way to eat yourself into a deficit, which basically means if you eat 20% fewer calories than you use in a week, then you've kind of won. I quite like 20%. You can be more aggressive at 30 or take it easy at 10, but it's just about finding a way to control your weekly calorie intake. So that's number 1. Number 2 is lift. When you diet, you put stress on your muscle mass and your metabolic rate. And by doing 2 times full body twice a week, so 2 full body sessions twice a week, you can protect your muscle mass and your metabolic rate, and you can ensure that most of what you lose is fat rather than muscle. Next up, for macros, people go on and on about low fat v low carb, but if you're trying to be flexible about this, just try and sort out that you're eating enough protein each day. So you have a simple protein target, and then you can have a quick look at what you're eating and check if you're hitting a decent amount of protein each day. For cardio, sweat. Once you've got your lifting in terms of your exercise, so you've done, say, 2 half-an-hour sessions. So the first hour I like lifting, and then the next hour in the week, anything that causes you to sweat. So that can be cycling, that can be running, that can be swimming. It is just great for your overall health. You don't need it for weight loss, but it's just so good for your health and also for your mental health. So it's just a really good idea. And then lastly, for food quality, it is really this simple. Eat your vegetables. It is the one uncontroversial thing in all of nutrition. Eating a wide variety of colorful vegetables that are full of micronutrients is superb for your health. It's going to make you feel good. It's going to fill up your stomach, make you feel full. It's going to make it easier to eat into a deficit. And it is one of the best things you can do to improve your general health outlook for the rest of your life. So eat lots of vegetables if you can. It's just a wonderful thing to do. And that is it. That is what's important, why it's important, and how we can implement these 5 steps to actually have a scientific approach to losing weight in 2018. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you jump on the email list and get our 5 simple strategies to start losing weight cheat sheet.